Hello, I'm Joan Justice with HealthWorks Collective, and I have with me today Dr. Oliver Kharraz, founder and chief operating officer of ZocDoc. Dr. Kharraz has a background in medicine, neuroscience, and global business development. ZocDoc is free for patients. It's an online and mobile service that helps find doctors and book appointments online. They've been reviewed and written up by the Washington Post, Travel and Leisure, the Wall Street Journal, CNN, and others as well. Dr. Kharraz, tell us a little bit about ZocDoc and your mission there.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Joan. ZocDoc is a patient's health ally. Patients use us to find a doctor when they need one and book an appointment online right then and there. They can do it 24/7 on weekends, late at night, and they can filter for all the things that are relevant. Doctors that accept their insurance, the location, they see the times right away. They click on one of these times and they go through a regular checkout process and get their appointment self-directed.
Okay, and they can get appointments. They usually get appointments 24 to 72 hours. Is that usually the range?
Appointments are available. We have, and they book them, in the near future, because that's when patients actually want the appointments. And it turns out that doctors have these appointments available because they have last-minute cancellation, no-shows, and some unbooked appointments. And so we are really a matchmaker that patients use to find a doctor they like.
Okay, so they can go online, and if they want an appointment immediately, if they have an infection that they want to take care of, there might be a cancellation or a no-show, and they can get an appointment immediately, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. And you also, I saw on your website, you have a Spanish-speaking version. Do you also have Spanish-speaking doctors for people?
Yes. In fact, 40% of the doctors on ZocDoc speak Spanish, and for the Spanish-speaking population, when they do a search, we'll actually surface those doctors towards the top, so the patient knows that they can communicate with their doctor in their preferred language.
That's wonderful. I mean, I think that's a big help. And now, how many patients do you have on ZocDoc, would you imagine, that have found appointments or that are searching for appointments at any given time?
So on a monthly basis, roughly 2.5 million patients use us to find a doctor and research their doctor. And it's a number that's been growing exponentially. Those patients really love the service and the convenience it offers.
Wow, 2.5 million. That's wonderful. Now, how long have you been in business?
We've been in business for quite a while. We have been around for 5 years. Mm-hmm. We initially launched in New York, and we have expanded pretty rapidly. We are now covering 1,600 cities, 40% of the U.S. population, and continue expanding.
Boy, 40% of the U.S. population. That's really wonderful. And so you help patients find doctors and get doctor's appointments, but I imagine you also help the doctors. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So the average doctor is a 10 to 20% last-minute cancellation and no-show rate. So we help the doctor, fill these spots without, overbooking or negatively impacting the experience that the patients have when they're sitting in their waiting room. So for the doctor, it's essentially a way to find patients, that need to see them, when they need to see them, without any major changes in their workflow or to their office staff. It's a very simple technology solution for them.
Okay, and I saw also that you patients can fill out paperwork online. Is that sheet? I know when you go to the doctor, you have a sheet that asks for your name and your medical history, and it's usually 3 to 4 pages long. Do you have a one-size-fits-all form that the patients can fill out?
Yeah, so it's actually the number one requested feature on ZocDoc is, let me not fill out the same information every single time I go to the doctor. Yes. And so we have taken this experience online. And the way it works is, essentially, we will remember the answer that the patient gives. And if you go to a different doctor, we will take the answers you've already given. We only ask you the questions that are new and specific on that new doctor's form. So, if you've broken your leg when you're 5 years old, this carries over across every single form. The benefit to the doctor is that you typically get more complete patient histories because they can fill it out at home and they actually can look at the label of the drugs that they're taking. They're not embarrassed to potentially mistype the name of the drug and then just decide to leave it off in the office, and they can go and ask their mother and their relatives about their health history. And so you get a more legible, more complete form from the patient, and you reduce the rework on the patient's end.
I like that. I like that. That's very efficient. How many doctors do you have signed up on ZocDoc?
So the way that we think about the experience is really from the patient perspective. And so we want a patient to be able to find a doctor on ZocDoc, within 24 to 72 hours, wherever they are. And that means we have right now roughly 7 million appointments available to make that possible.
7 million appointments available. Wow, that's great. That's great. I bet those patients are satisfied. Do you ever get any testimonials, or does anyone ever write in or say online how pleased they are, or thank you so much for getting me this doctor's appointment at the last minute?
Absolutely. I mean, we get love letters from our patients. Yes. It's an empowering experience for them. But sometimes it goes even much deeper for that. I remember a patient sending us a note a few months back where she said, look, I was trying to go down my insurance company's website, and a lot of the doctors there were not accepting new patients, or they had moved out of state or retired. And through ZocDoc, I found someone quickly enough to catch cancer at a stage where it was still treatable, and I owe you my life. And we're obviously very happy that ZocDoc can help in treating patients and really helping them out that way. But even for much more mundane problems, like an ingrown toenail, what we find is that patients are extremely satisfied. We measure something that's called the Net Promoter Score, which is a metric of how likely someone is to recommend the service to loved ones. And I'm happy to say that we're head and shoulders above where the healthcare industry is typically. They're really trying to make the experience the way that you would want it to be when you're sick.
That's great. Thank you so much, Dr. Kharraz. I'm sure that some of our readers will bookmark ZocDoc right away. It's a great invention, and it's a really helpful way to make healthcare better and a lot more efficient. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.